Starfire and Storm are both, they both like to, well, is it even possible to do this video and not instantly get demonetized? Well, we're about to find out, because my man David wants to know. Shout out to him for asking me to dive deeper on this topic. Send me your questions or topics to stormstarfire42@gmail.com. Starfire and Storm both ooze attractiveness no matter what they're in, but they've also had tendencies to go totally But there's actually a few reasons for this, as well as reasons why it's no longer the case. Let's start with Starfire. She's the easiest and least controversial to explain. As a Tamaranian, koriand'r absorbs ultraviolet energy through her skin and uses it to sustain herself, fly, and fire her star bolts as well as any other energy-based attacks. She also learns foreign languages through skin-to-skin contact, though she prefers just to straight up kiss people. So her normal Tamaranian attire leaves little to the imagination, but she also loves to soak up rays in a more direct way through bikinis and by cranking the clothing meter all the way down to 0. So you can see how her aversion to clothing actually has a physiological advantage. And that's just the practical side of things. Culturally, it gets even deeper. And this trait isn't specific to koriand'r alone. Tamaran is a tropical planet run by passionate nature-loving people with a history of warfare. To be clear though, it's not that she always has to be naked, but she is extremely comfortable in her own skin and doesn't share Earth's taboos with nudity. And she holds on to this stance for years after she's been on Earth. So she's not culturally ignorant to Earth's ways anymore. Like when she first came here, it was more of a, I don't get why this is such a big deal thing. Now it's a, I know, I just don't care. But contrary to her new 52 depiction, she doesn't wake up looking for opportunities to make men go gaga. She is generally respectful of Earth's ways, even the ones she doesn't agree with. And as you'd expect, writers have often used these moments to comment on aspects of Western society. Now, is all of this an excuse to draw sexy space women in as few clothes as possible?
Yes!
But it's not just that. Starfire's refusal to fully adopt Earth's modesty standards actually works as a critique against modern society. And it takes a lot of writing skill to weave societal critiques into what could easily just be a sexy, hot alien woman. But the irony of all of this is not lost on me. Over time, Starfire herself became a victim of the very social customs that her character critiqued. After Kori's golden years in the NTT era, no pun intended, stuff started to get weird. And I mean weird. Wolfman and Perez didn't just create her, they were the best to ever handle her. And she's never been the same ever since both of them left the Titans team. Mileage varies from writing team to writing team, but in general, writers would often reduce her to just another pretty face without any development or even plot relevance. And while there are several examples of people writing her true to form, she's often written wildly out of character. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the New 52, which drastically changed Kori's personality and sexuality. She was always a anytime, any place type of girl in the confines of a committed relationship. But as I said earlier, she really wasn't an overt tease, and rejected the very notion that she showed off skin for attention. But all of that changed with the New 52, which had her be far more promiscuous and just thirst trappy. We also really don't get any instances of her going nude anymore. And while I can never get enough of clothes-free Kori, I'm okay going without it until we get another writer who can handle it properly without destroying her character. Now let's switch our birthday suit gears and talk about the Weather Witch. Storm's nudism is much more a product of a very distant past. Outside of flashbacks to her days being worshipped in Kenya, you really don't see Storm go so much as topless anymore. But that is exactly how we were introduced to her back in 1975. Storm started off occupying the attic of the X-Mansion, and it didn't take her long to turn it into her own garden. And while tending to said garden with rainwater, she would often disrobe and invite her teammates to join her for a refreshing summer shower. I have no idea how they turned her down. She'd even bust out the personal rain shower on other locations, like the time the X-Men were at this big dinner over at Cassidy Keep. And Storm just had no interest in changing clothes like a normal person. Clothes off, rain on. This stems from her love of nature and living within nature. Nudity also represents a simpler time when her world made much more sense. Not unlike Starfire. For both Storm and Starfire, it seems, nudity is a source of comfort that helps keep them grounded. So, why'd she stop? I think this is down to two factors: changes in sexual displays of women in media, and increasing cultural sensitivity. Storm was created in a time where real people and fictional characters were always pushing boundaries. Feminism, gay rights activism, and the Black Power movement, just to name a few. And Storm literally embodied all of that collective energy of change, so it made sense to have such a revolutionary character wear that on her sleeves, or lack thereof. But as time went on, such concepts went from controversial to commodified. Open display of the female form really isn't nearly as taboo as it was back in the 70s. Now it's more often encouraged or wholly corporatized. But at the same time, we've had a profound shift in feminist thought and expression that often sees overt sexualization of the female form as verboten, at least the more popular and widespread brands of feminism today.
So you're just another red-headed waif in an inappropriately revealing outfit.
Go to hell.
Why do all you supervillains need to be so sexed up all the time?
But it's clear that as times changed, having Storm retain her nudist roots just wasn't a viable option for the changing cultural landscape. Same goes for cultural sensitivity, i.e., the black female character is a tribal goddess in Africa and is always naked. I mean, there are people who see Storm's entire OG design as problematic just because her traits were intentionally made to not look purely African in origin, which is a topic worthy of a video all on its own. But to call her creators or Marvel at the time racist for designing her like this initially is demonstrably false. Misty Knight's debut predated Storm's by a matter of months, and this is what she looked like when we first saw her. But to wrap up my overall point, every aspect of Storm's design has been picked apart and labeled problematic at some point or another, whether they actually are or not. So it makes sense that Marvel was gonna play it more on the safe side, and not try to stoke any more fires by leaning into something that was already highly charged, and we don't need Storm to constantly be naked for us to know that she is Mother Nature personified. Do you wish they still went nude today? And is it for more than just the most obvious reasons? Be real, this is a safe space. Either way, comment below and let me know. And then after that, click this video right here to get some more Weather Witch Goddess or Alien Warrior Hippie Princess in your life. And until next time, you already know, keep simping.